Well, I'm going to hike down into that gorge. So the trail begins here, begins the descent down into the gorge to the river. Now down here, what's interesting is, see that peninsula I think I pointed out earlier? There is a tunnel that goes all the way through that from one side to the other. That was going to be a piping project, but it never was completed. They gave up on it. So we should be able to find a tunnel down there on that peninsula that'll take us all the way through to the other side of the gorge. But yeah, this trail is, at least this first part here at the top, is kind of steep and narrow and a little sketchy, but I don't think it's going to be that difficult. So right up here you can see where the trail is going to make a switchback here. A pretty steep one, I think. Yeah, right here's the turn. And it just keeps going down and down that way. That's where we're headed. If you listen carefully, I think you can hear the river. I can hear it from all the way up here. I don't know if that's coming out in the video or not. And there's two crows or ravens down there flying around. Look at how narrow and steep the canyon walls get further up there. I think this spot right down below me is probably the only spot you can get in and out of the canyon, at least in this area. Otherwise, the sides are just too steep and too vertical. But I hope you can hear that water. There's a lot of water flowing in the creek, in the river. Well, we made it to the peninsula. And we just came from that way and up over that small saddle there and up to the top. So let's keep on heading down here. That was the hard part of the hike. That was the most steepest part with the most rough terrain. This here is pretty simple. Looks like they put metal posts here. At one point there might have been a chain between the posts, like a handrail, but that chain is no longer here. See, there's loops. There's loops on the metal post for some kind of a chain or rope or something, but anyway. Yeah, I think that flat area down there is the waste rock pile from the tunnel that goes through this mountain. So we got to get down there. The trail looks like the trail's going over this way though. I think. No, it's going straight ahead. I thought it was turning here. Well, it looks like it does turn to the right and also goes to the left. Well, I think I'm going to stick with the side that has the posts. That's probably the main trail. This is probably a branch. Looks like it goes out there. I don't know where that goes, but I'm going to stick to what looks like the main trail here. So we'll leave this side of the gorge and head through this tunnel. That goes to the other side. Wow, this is pretty cool. Got some big timbers up here, support timbers. Some graffiti here. I don't know what this says. Oh, meow. BDH face. Meow. Looks like there's a cat. Someone drew a cat. Maybe there's a stoat cat in here, or a bobcat, or a mountain lion. God, I hope not. Yeah, this was dug for a large pipe. This wasn't a gold mine or anything like that. This was for a pipe water project. Oh, look at that. Pretty big slabs. Got some tumbleweeds here. Wow, it's right above me. They stuck in some wedging, and then here's a big timber going across over to there. I'll say one thing, it's nice and cool in here. Even though it's November, it's about 75 degrees out there today. Pretty nice. Wow, check out here in the overhead. Some kind of strange rock. Not sure what that is, but it's got some sparkles in it. But like I said, I think most of this is volcanic. Wow, it's like total silence. Can't hear the river. Been hearing the river the whole way down through the hike. Even more so when I got to the bottom of the gorge, but now I don't hear anything. So I'm not sure when this pipe tunnel, or tunnel for the pipe, was dug. I'll have to research that. I'm thinking maybe 1950s or 60s. I'm not sure. But it looks like they blasted it, just like they would do for a mine. Probably a lot of the same technology was used. I think nowadays they might have more modern techniques, like a bore machine that would just drill a hole straight through the mountain without having to blast it. But this is definitely old school. Yeah, you can see here remnants of blasting holes, I think. So there's a wooden structure out here too. I don't know what this is. I don't recall seeing this in other people's videos. I only saw one video actually. I don't think a lot of people film this for some reason. Oh, this is some kind of like a catch basin or something. So there's the tunnel we just came out of, and they built. Here's the side of the peninsula, and then on this side they built a concrete wall, and you can see it comes right up to there, and goes up to there. And what this was apparently, that wooden structure is a gate. See that centerpiece would go up and down, and that would allow the water to flow in to this pipe to be diverted into the piping system that was never built. That's just like a big gate. There probably would have been a hoisting mechanism up there at the top. But we'll take a close-up look at that. But that's what that was, a wooden chute gate, basically, or a gate, you know. And so the water would have flowed in through here. There would have been a pipe here, I guess. I'm assuming a pipe. Or maybe a pipe at the far end, you know, at the mouth of the tunnel at the far end, that would have gone across the gorge to that other opening that's gated that I showed you across the river. And there would have been a pipe in there probably, but yeah, so this is pretty cool. This is a lot of infrastructure that was built but never used. Let's take a close-up look at those wooden slats. You can tell by all the brush here that's pushed down, plus there's some timbers there and right there. A lot more water must have came through here not too long ago. They must have released more water from the dam upstream. But you can see over there behind that tree a bunch of stacked rocks. That goes all the way over to that wooden gate where the tunnel is. So this would have been a diversion channel for the river water. And had they completed that piping project, the water would have been diverted from the river that's behind us over here, right through here, right where this tree is. And over here on the right, you can see the gate. And this would have been the channel right here. So that's the top of the peninsula that we hiked down. We went down the other side and came through the tunnel to this side. And here's a close-up of that chute gate. I didn't see any markings on it that were historic. So, but yeah, that's what that was. They would just raise and lower that to let the water flow through this opening and through the peninsula to the other side and beyond. Okay, I just realized something. This, what I thought was a gate here in the center that would have gone up and down to control the volume of water going through it. This wasn't a gate because at the top there, there's no way for the gate in the center to get past that uppermost cross timber. So it most likely did not go up and down. If it did go up and down, it only went up and down less than a foot right there at the top. So this was just some kind of flow control device, I guess, and never did go up and down. But I'm gonna head up this way, and I think there's another trail I can take up this side of the peninsula, so we'll get a different view going up than what we had on the other side. But check this out. Wow. That looks kind of deep, maybe 3 feet or so. Boy, it would be nice to come down here in the summertime and take a dip in that pool. Look at that. And then there's rapids right beyond it there. I'm sure that water is ice cold. And it comes from that way. This is really spectacular scenery down in this gorge. Yeah, that's the peninsula. Now there's the trail we got to take to go up out of here on this side. So that's how we're getting out. Very peaceful. So this gives you an idea of what would have been down there in the gorge had they completed that piping project. This pipe is probably, I don't know, I can't tell, I'm not right down next to it, but probably at least 12 feet tall, I'm thinking. And that's huge, and that's where it goes back underground. And I can hear every so often a sound in there. Must be the water going through there. It's kind of a strange sound. But that's a lot of water being piped, probably for Los Angeles. And it goes back underground up there.